Welcome to Stevenage, St Nicholas Church. It's not perhaps what you think of when you hear the word Stevenage.
Which wall would you like? Eleusa or Christ Pantocrator? Can we have Christ Pantocrator wall, please? Christ Pantocrator, you've got 2.5 minutes starting now.
Is there a record?
Look, there's E, B, D, H, EM and AA. So they're abbreviations or initials or something. They've got to be in a group. Let's try it. Wait. Yeah, but we don't know what they are. Yeah, but it'll be all right. It'll be okay. We've got plenty of time.
Stevenage is well known as the site of the first post-war new town, 1946. But there's also a historic old town. So this is really the heart of the old town in many ways. So we've been here for over 1,000 years. For most of that time, Stevenage was a little coaching town on the North Road, main road from London up to York and Newcastle and Edinburgh and so on. And St Nicholas Church here was originally built a little bit away from the North Road, so it's kind of built up on the hill away from the North Road, which was quite dangerous.
From like highwaymen or, yeah.
That's right, yeah. But then in the 13th century, the king authorised the Lord of the Manor, who was the Abbot of Westminster, to have a market down on the North Road, which by that time was a bit safer. And so the town sort of moved downhill, but they left their church up here. And they continued to improve it and enlarge it over the following centuries. So it was only in the 19th century that the new town down the road got, what was then the new town, got its own church, Holy Trinity, which is named after our guild chapel here, Holy Trinity. Later on, that what is now called the new town was built even further south, another mile further south. St Nicholas has been left, although it started off as the heart of Stevenage, has been left sort of doubly bereft really. It's been left out on the edge of town.
Yeah.
Although the town itself, because it's growing so much, it's kind of growing back up around St Nick's again now. But we have much more the character of a suburban church, even though historically we were kind of a town church. If you look at it from the outside, it looks very much like a kind of middle of nowhere rural church, but actually we're surrounded by tens of thousands of people. Stevenage is 100,000 people now, quite populous, and about a quarter of those are in our parish, about 25,000. Historically, although kind of our parish was the whole of Stevenage, it's now, as I say, the kind of northern quarter of it.
Are these original arches or are they part of the architectural thing that was put in?
Yeah, so I mean, well, the arches, these would date from about 1330.
Okay.
And the original church on the site would have been a Saxon wooden church. There was a Norman church. So the pillars you can see in the nave, they date from that era, and as does the tower. Actually, the tower is the oldest main surviving structure. And then there was a big rebuild in the 1330s, which created the chancel as it now is, and widened the nave into aisles. So that would date from then. And then this extra bit on the edge was 1840, when the town was growing and they were trying to pack people into this building. And apparently there were complaints about people walking for 1 or 2 miles to get up to church on a Sunday and finding it full and not being able to get in, even after the extension. So that's why Holy Trinity did eventually get built. These stained glass windows, they're probably Victorian. Definitely gone in after the extension anyway. That's Christ walking on water,
yes.
Yeah.
And
that's with him on the road to Emmaus with his 2 disciples.
Yes, that's where he meets the 2 disciples on the road and they don't recognise him.
That's right. You can see they've got their walking sticks there. And then later he finds himself in a tavern with them and he breaks bread and he's made known to them in the breaking of the bread.
How old is the organ?
So I think it's an 1877 instrument.
Yeah.
So it's not particularly auspicious. It's a beautiful thing.
There's something about a pipe organ.
It
got tuned yesterday, so it's sounding at its best. I don't know about these. I think these were just cleaned.
Well, those are decorative, aren't they? That's just the casing.
Well, I'll tell you, stand up and put your hand in front of one, and I can.
Okay, let's find out.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll put all the stops on. See anything?
No.
Nothing. So it's all decorative.
I think those ones are decorative. These are 1950s pews. These are actually designed by quite a famous carpenter called the Mouse Man, Robert Thompson. And his signature was putting little mice on the woodwork that he produced.
Okay.
So there are, somewhere around the woodwork, 12 mice. So there we go, there's one of the 12. So yeah,
that's a challenge.
It's good for, I say, They very rarely find all 12. I think one kid recently found 11. In the 1915 reordering, these things happen about once a century, there was a big screen put here, which is now over there, and that kind of restricted church activities to here. But before 1915, it was open, so we've just restored the pre-1915 setting, really. The organ does slightly impose, but it's a welcome imposition. This was the Trinity Chapel. The organ only got moved there in 2018, so the organ was previously where our kitchen is, and then they moved the organ to the Trinity Chapel, and the Trinity altar is now our welcome table at the front of church over there. But we call this area the museum now. It's a nice diagram of the seating from 1927 there. Lady Chapel, Holy Trinity Chapel. That was when the screen was there, and we had the misericords, which I can show you in a second, were in the choir. So quite unusual actually to have misericords in a parish church.
Stair, pew, AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, EM, electromagnetic wave. Stair, ladder, mountain, things you climb. Stair, ladder, mountain, chimney. St Nicholas tree chimney. St Nicholas and chimney. I mean, that's Santa Claus tree and Coca-Cola, because that was his colour of his cloak. Tree, Coca-Cola, chimney, St Nicholas, all to do with Santa. No, what boomers? Six white boomers. The kangaroos in the song, six white boomers. So boomers, Coca-Cola, chimney, St Nicholas.
This is our banner, St Nicholas banner. So the symbol of St Nicholas is a ship, because he's the patron saint of sailors.
Have you got a St Nicholas in the church?
Actually, no, because I think part of the reason for that is that I think that dedication was only actually given in the 1870s. The last 1,000 years, this was the only church in the town. It was simply Stevenage Parish Church. It didn't have a dedication. But when you had Holy Trinity being established in the 1860s as a chapel of ease of St Nicholas, suddenly you had to create this differentiation. Okay, so what are we going to call the mother church? What are we going to call the daughter church? Why St Nicholas was chosen, I don't know.
So is St Nicholas the Father Christmas St Nicholas?
That's right, yeah. So he has his patron saints down the 6th of December. That's right. He was a Greek saint, St Nicholas, and there's a story about him giving gifts to some young ladies, which is the origin of the idea of Santa giving gifts to children.
Yeah. He berated and calmed a rough sea on a journey to the Holy Land. The Stevenage connection is mysterious. A 3rd century bishop in Benjamin Britten's St Nicholas cantata, the story goes he sprang from his mother's womb singing the praises of the Lord, and later resurrected boys pickled in brine by a murderous butcher. Look out for it if you haven't heard it. The moment of resurrection is a remarkably moving moment. It's a little bit anachronistic here. You're about as landlocked as you can be in England.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, we're a very long way from the coast here. Yeah, this is the sanctuary. So these sedilia, they were actually uncovered during the 1840 restoration. So they were kind of covered up for about 300 years. This is late 19th century. This reredos. And some nice stained glass. We've got the 4 evangelists here. Matthew there is with the child, Mark with the lion, Luke with the bull, and John with the eagle. This looks like a resurrection appearance. So you can see there's folded grave clothes there, and the empty tomb. And this is probably Mary in the garden.
Mary Magdalene.
Coming across the risen Christ. This is Stephen Hellard. This is his brass. He was rector here in the early 16th century, so pre-Reformation. The original brass is under here. That's the real Hellard brass. This is just a copy, which we allow people to do brass rubbings on. But yeah, he founded some almshouses in the town. Actually, there's been a few rectors who founded various things. So his successor, a few decades later, Thomas Alleyne, he founded Alleyne's Grammar School, which was the 3rd oldest school in Hertfordshire, main grammar school of the town.
Well,
and
there's
the area.
Alleyne schools in London, I think.
Different Alleyne. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. This is so weird. This 16th century Thomas Alleyne founded schools in Stevenage, Stone and Uttoxeter, whereas the other 16th century Edward Alleyne founded schools in Dulwich, most famously Dulwich College. I'm called Alan and I've not founded any schools, not one, not even once.
It looks to me like David with his lies. Actually, it says King David up there, doesn't it? And then Saint Cecilia with her pipe organ.
Oh, so we've got two music.
Yeah, that's right.
Saints.
So very, very appropriate to have the musicians in this corner of the church with those two up there.
Tree, ladder, mountain stair. Do you know what the oldest thing is in the church?
Well, the oldest bit of the structure is the tower. The tower is the surviving structure from the Norman church from the 12th century. It has very thick walls. The bell chamber's up there. So you can access it by these very old stairs. So you can see these are pretty well worn. This is one of the oldest timber staircases in the country. There's a little bit of debate about whether this is actually a staircase or a ladder, but I think given it's got a banister and it's got, shaped rails, it is definitely a staircase. It's a staircase, yeah. So this dates from the 14th century extension of the church. This is 14th century woodwork.
It's otherworldly. It looks more than old. It looks.
Yeah, it still works. I mean, I'd be comical if I fall through it now, wouldn't it? But no. So there we go. It's in good nick. It does its job anyway.
I mean, now I'm on it. It feels more laddery than I thought at first. But so you think 1300s?
Yeah, exactly 1300s. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been chronologically dated.
Okay. I mean, yeah, this is. See, one of the things is you're never going to get heavy traffic.
No.
Going up and down something like this.
No. Well, yeah. I mean, so there was. Again, before the 1915 reordering, there was a West Gallery actually that was accessed by these stairs.
Yeah.
It was mostly a musicians' gallery, so you would have had musicians heading up there every Sunday to play their flutes and their violins and so on from the West Gallery. So that would have had more use back then. But yeah, that gallery was taken away early 20th century, and actually two of the supporting pillars from it have made their way into one of the pubs in the Old Town High Street.
Really? Which one?
Still there, the Swan.
It's no longer a pub now, but this building's still there. I did knock on the door and see if I could ask about their wood. Unfortunately, I was arrested. From the church, you can still see the doorway where the musicians' gallery used to be. Yeah. So I sort of imagine this is kind of in high demand for weddings.
Reasonably, yeah. I mean, because so many venues now are licensed for secular weddings, civil weddings, that has hugely decreased the number of church weddings that happen. So, my predecessor, but one in the early part of the century, says to me he was doing 60 weddings a year. And it was the weddings capital of Stevenage. I do about 8 to 10 a year. Oh, that's a lot fewer than I was expecting. Yeah. So it's a lot fewer than 60, isn't it? I do 2 Sunday services because I have 2 parishes. I've got this one here in Stevenage, and then also St Mary's in Gravely. There's actually a third building, St Etheldreda's in Chesfield, although that has been closed for services for the last 300 years. So, although I did actually do a little thing for St Etheldreda's Day a couple of years ago there in the grounds, but it's not regularly used. It's a ruin. In passing, you can look at the font. That's I think it's a 12th century font with a 14th century cover. So from the same tree, perhaps. As the staircase. Yeah, maybe indeed. Yeah, the name Stevenage means by the stiff oak. So it's known for its oak trees. Okay. Yeah, there you are. There isn't kind of like the Stevenage oak? No, sadly not. I think that was obviously cut down to make the staircase. You forgot. I mean, this guy over here, he has a mitre on, so that is the face of a bishop. Unknown which bishop. And you can see some of these have been restored. They're not all ancient carvings. Ah, so the fact that guy looks Victorian. He might be probably because it is a Victorian carving, exactly. Whereas you can see that one's a lot older. A lot of the panels you can see on these pillars have been left unwhitewashed, and that's because the graffiti here is actually medieval graffiti. Oh yeah. So there's quite a lot of it here in St Nicholas, actually. So you've got a little guy with a hood there. He's quite fun. Oh, well, that definitely. Yeah. That's great, actually. There's more of these kind of geometric designs here. And then what are we left with? We got stair. What's Sedelia? What's Sedelia? That's the 3 thing that you skid on in a church. So we got misericord, Sedelia, and a pew. But what's the 4th one? Bum.
Can it be bum? You sit on your bum, you certainly feel your bum on a pew.
So yeah, these are the said misericords. There's different theories about where they came from. The best theory, I think, is that because the Lord of the Manor was the Abbot of Westminster, and he assigned monks from Westminster Abbey to manage the manor of Stevenage, there will always be a few of them up here living in the old bury, which is just next door to us, the old manor house.
Yeah.
And they would have still observed their monastic hours and probably would have used these seats. The other two theories, one is that they might have come from old St Paul's Cathedral, which got burnt down in the Great Fire, or that they came from Wymondley Abbey. Wymondley's a little village just over that way across the A1, and there was an abbey there. They are 14th century misericords. Yeah.
So they could be from the same tree again.
They could be. They could be from that
they?
oak. Yes. They're not the most comfortable, I must say. You can see we're on high ground here, and this is reputedly the highest church the highest point, in fact, between London and York. So this is the point where the North Road, the old North Road, goes sort of over the rise of land, which kind of follows the line of the Chilterns.
What I'll say is this. It's so pretty, isn't it? I mean, it's chocolate box pretty.
Oh, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind
I
of
mean that in a good
view.
way.
Yeah, absolutely. yeah. So you can see that's a typical Norman Romanesque rounded arch over it.
Yeah. So is there anybody famous buried here?
There's nobody kind of knockdown famous, but there's certainly people, who are locally famous.
Yeah.
Like there's the couple of twins called the Fox twins, who are well-known local poachers who are buried in the churchyard. Over 1,200
I'm seeing
interments.
1780 there.
Yeah, exactly. You still got some distant family members who come and tend some of these graves.
But it feels we're seeing it at its best today.
Yeah.
There's some more modern graffiti on the tree.
Yeah, indeed, absolutely.
Well, bum. Can it be bum? You sit on your bum, you certainly feel your bum on a pew. Stop, we haven't worked out what EB and DH is. DH Lawrence. AA Milne, EB White, EM Forster. Tree, ladder, mountain stair. Yes.
And stuff. So this is the Forster Memorial here. So this area is well known, really, because of its more recent associations with E.M. Forster, the English novelist. So he was one of the leading English novelists. This is the only memorial to Forster in the world. So this is from 1994.
So was he was a parishioner here, or?
Yeah. So he grew up here. So you probably have heard of the novel Howard's End.
Yes.
Made into famous film. And so the house he grew up in was Howard's End, which is just over there. This countryside here became known as the Forster country because this was the landscape he described in the novel. And as you can see, it's sadly now being built on, which was heavily resisted by the Friends of Forster country for about 60 years. But they kind of lost that battle in the end. And the estate that's being built is called the Forster Estate. So we will get about 3,000 or 4,000 more parishioners living there. And actually, when phase 2 gets built, that'll be another 3,000 or 4,000 more as well. That'll be fall into the parish of Gravely. But they are going to put in a nice landscaped park called the Forster Country Park between the estate and the church. So that will retain something of the feel of that countryside described in Howard's End.